In this lesson, we're going to add a very important component, which is the ability to add new elements to our list. So we add a new element in a form, and that element will be shown on the main listing. I've created a form in expenseform.html. It is a very simple form. It has a field for the description, the amount, the date. All of these fields have the ng model directive, which specifies which model they refer to. So in this case, we're expecting an object called expense in our scope, and that object should have a description, amount, and a date. Since Angular 1.3, when you're using HTML5 date fields, it is expected that you will deliver a date object, not just a string. We'll take care of that aspect because we were using strings previously in the following video. The save button has the ng click directive, which specifies a save function that we need to create. Let's go to the JavaScript code. This all occurs in expense view controller. I've included a new service called location, which comes with Angular, and that will allow me to send the user back to the listing after they click save. So I'm adding the service here and of course here as well. I want to distinguish between editing and creation of objects. In this case, we're only implementing creating new objects, but I still want to make sure that we're not editing. We're not in the process of editing one. And the way I'll do that is by checking for the ID parameter in the route. So if that parameter is not present, and it will never be 0 because it'll be numbers, then we'll create a new object. That new expense, we need to create that as a variable, put it in expense so that it will be linked to the form. And then once we save it, we'll take care of saving it in a bit, but let's create it first. It'll have an ID of say 7. ID will be the unique identifier of each element. We're hard coding this for now. Ideally, they should come from a server. Once you save something, the server will tell you what the unique ID is. Or you could have an approach that mixes local and server ID. Let's give it a description, something, amount, say 10, and date. As I said, it needs to be a date object. That's what's expected. If I just reload the page, go new expense, see how now it's linking, it's binding this object to the form. And if I change the values here, it's also changing the values of the actual object. So when I click save, I want to have a save function, and we'll give that task, the saving task will basically pass the ball to the service. So we're just going to say that the service is going to take care of saving that particular entry. We don't know how it's being done. The service will take care of it. In the controller, we just tell it, send this to the service, and then send the user back to the home page, which is, so we do location.path and specify the root of our app. What happens in our service? Let's take care of that as well. We need to create a function. It'll receive an entry as a parameter. It'll be an object. And we're simply going to push that new entry into entries. That's all we're doing. And this should be enough to have a form where we can add something new and save it, and it shows on our list of elements.